Fina is a mother of twins. This is another type of story that I love to share and wish to have more of, as the women that are birthing multiples free of the medical system need to be heard. So I'm extremely grateful to have hosted Fina in this space. Throughout the conversation, Fina speaks to being diagnosed as infertile at 14, studying music in West Africa and the healing power that music and its vibrations have, experiencing an early pregnancy release at 11 weeks and seeking medical care, but then being traumatized by everything that she went through. 2 years later, getting pregnant again and having a pregnancy mostly out of the medical system, but hiring medical support to attend her birth and making sure that there were boundaries and rules in place. Fina speaks to her 27-hour birth portal and how the medical support interfered greatly with her process, generating a lot of unnecessary fear and trauma. Getting pregnant 5 months postpartum with twins and navigating feelings of depression. Moving back in with her mother because Fina needed more support and care. Having some bleeding during the pregnancy and seeking care in the hospital, which turned out to be a mistake. Telling her partner that she'd be birthing the twins at home with no medical provider, then birthing her twins at 39 weeks and 1 day gestation in only 3 hours, having such a drastically different and more beautiful postpartum time after the birth of her twins, and lastly, how Fina's birth of her twins created the catalyst for change in her country to make it easier for women who want to birth free of the medical system from that point forward. Fina's choice to birth her babies in her power brought her so much healing from the trauma that was inflicted on her by the medical system and by a woman masquerading as someone who trusts birth. And Fina's story is just another example of when a woman leans into her power, she will always make the right decision for herself and her children. Women, have you heard? The Free Birthing in Color movement now has a private community space for all women to join. Within this private community, we have monthly village prenatals to celebrate and support the pregnant women moving towards their birthing time. There are monthly community calls to build deeper connection with one another. We have bi-monthly book clubs to gain deeper wisdom of our female bodies. There are guest speakers that will facilitate talks on all things women's health. We have space for mothers to share their in-power birth stories and so much more. You can join this community space for only $6 per month from now until December 21st of this year. I know that you've been seeking connection, support, guidance, knowledge, and newfound friendships. So now is the time to join us and find exactly what you're looking for. Even if you don't identify as a woman of color or an Indigenous woman, you're welcome to be here because we all need to be witnessed in the passages of life that we move through, no matter who we are or what we look like. This community will hold you whether you're pregnant or not pregnant, trying to conceive, don't want children at all, if you've had losses or abortions, if you're a birth or death worker of any kind, a grandmother, an auntie, or wise woman, there's space for you to be seen and share your wisdom to the collective well. Go to primalwomenportal.com/FBC community or check the show notes to become a member today. Hello, Fina. Welcome to the Free Birthing in Color movement. I am so grateful to have you here today to share your story.
Hi, Karma. It's so nice to be here. I'm so stoked.
Amazing. Yes, I was just saying to you before we were recording how it's so important to hear stories of mothers that birth multiples, not only at home, but at home free of the medical system. So I'm really, really excited to get this story out there and to be able to hold the space for you to share it because I only have a few on this platform. So every, twin birth story free of the system, I'm always just so jazzed to be able to share that space. um, so before we get into your birth stories, I would love to ask you this one question that I ask every woman that comes onto this platform is, what is your ancestry and lineage that you are passing on to your children?
Okay, so I am coming from the Southeast Asia, from Borneo Island specifically, and it's not a
Oh.
place that many people know of.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so basically, I have the East Islander ancestry.
Right.
We're coming from like Australasia and then dispersed to Borneo, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and then all the way to Hawaii. Actually, we're like coming from the same
Wow.
Islander ancestry. Yes, I'm an Islander, and also I have some Arabic ancestry also somewhere along there. Yeah,
Wow. Oh my goodness, that's so amazing. That's so cool.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
the East Asian and the Pacific Island cultures and all of that. I think they're so beautiful. So I'm like, oh, cool. Borneo. Like, wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so
Yeah, I
neat.
studied I try to study like my ancestral like lineage because we don't really know, like my mom she doesn't really know, but I would just straight to study like where am I coming from?
Hmm.
So yeah, from like China, like from the tribes of China and Taiwan, and then we're all like the same, like even Madagascar and Polynesia.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's super interesting how we just like dispersed from the ocean, just
Hmm.
like travel by boats.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it's really
hmm And so the second question that I would love to ask you is, where does your motherhood journey begin?
interesting. So this question I keep asking myself as well because like I actually don't know.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I mean to be honest, like ever since I was younger, I it was a condition in me, and like being a Asian like Muslim woman, like
mm,
that's just what I was brought up. Like, okay, you're gonna be a mother, you're gonna be married. So I kind of like was conditioned like to think I'm gonna be a mother.
mhm.
And then something happened in my like mid 20s where I left my home country to travel the world, and then like I just to rewire my brain, to get out of that like conditioning. And but before I left, actually, I found out that I was infertile by a
Oh.
doctor. So that also kind of like confused me and messed me up. Like, huh? But I was still like believing that I'm gonna be a mother, like some kind of like deep feeling. Like
Hmm.
I think I'm gonna be a mother. I want to be a mother, but like I don't want to be a mother. So
Okay.
it was just really, really confusing. Um,
Can I just quickly
yeah, but
ask,
like, sure, sure, sure.
with this infertile diagnosis that you had, like how did that come to be? Were you just going in for a routine check and then they like found something and said that you would be infertile because of this? Or was it like completely out of the blue, or were you having problems with your womb space? How did
Yeah.
that come?
So I remember I was 14 years old
Oh my
and
gosh.
I wasn't getting yeah, I wasn't getting my period. Like I think like in 1 year I got my period like twice, you know? And then I
Hmm.
was like, what's happening? Like even my mom was confused, and then so I went for a checkup, and like the doctors they didn't really know what to say to me, but they just said like, oh, I have a bad womb or something, just like that. So I went to live my life like this, getting like 3 periods a year, and then I went for a checkup again around 19, when I was 19, and because I was curious, because it was really frightening. Like if I have a partner and then I don't get my period, like what's happening? And so yeah, it was a Western doctor, and he told me yeah, like I don't remember exactly what he said, but just the conclusion at the time, like I was infertile, and that was
Wow.
it. Like that was like full stop. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
That's
Yeah, I was
insane to say
19.
to someone so young, just like out of the blue, like not even really doing anything and just being like, yeah, can't have children.
Yeah,
That's it. That's terrible. That's really sad.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly. And I had like there was no yeah, he didn't say like, oh, maybe you could try this approach, maybe you could take that, maybe you could do this. Like nothing. It was just like, nope, you're infertile. Stop.
Wow.
And I believed it. I was so young, and
Mm-hmm.
I trusted him, of course. And
Mm.
yeah, so I lived my next years of life believing that I was infertile.
Wow.
Sad about it, but also like, okay, that's not my path. Then, um, so I shut off, this side of like motherhood and like, yeah, a bit.
Wow.
I guess it was a bit sad, but I just moved on. You know how it is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then I guess like the next my conscious journey with motherhood started when I was in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So almost like 8 years after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why, like in my work, also, I'm always like I'm just all about African music and African instruments because I really believe that it
Mm-hmm.
opened me up and like healed me. So yeah, when I was in West Africa, I went to study there
Mm-hmm.
and study music, and I was always surrounded by like African women, like big mamas, and so many
Mm.
children, and it just healed me so much. I was
Mm.
holding babies in my arms, like in public spaces, like strangers. They just put their
Mm-hmm.
babies on me. I'm like, okay, but like it activated something in me, and it's just like I believe this um, Africa, like this land, is like it really healed my root chakra. Like it just opened it
Mm.
up with
Wow.
all the drumming and all the singing and all the music and the vibrations. And I didn't know then though that I was like, oh, I'm not infertile, or like what's the story there? I had no idea. I
Mm.
just know like, oh wow, okay, I want to be a mother.
Mm.
Like mothers are really cool. Like, I had such a beautiful story around motherhood from then on. Like, it was just seeing how the mothers there are like in community and helping each other and cooking for one another and like
Mm.
yeah, just living like our ancestors were, I
Yeah.
guess. It's like so that kind of like healed it as well and like made me like I want to work on this. I want to work on my womb and heal
Mm-hmm.
it like
Mm-hmm.
consciously. And it began.
Wow.
Yeah,
That sounds, and how long were you in Africa, in West Africa for?
about half a year.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that sounds amazing and so profound that, like you're saying, being in connection with all of these women, the music and having the vibration of the place that you were at, just really, going in and transforming your body. I love hearing that. That just sounds so beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't just it was like a mental what's the word? Like I didn't have the right mental idea of a motherhood as
Mm,
well. Like
okay.
yeah, coming like just being back home like with my mothers and I did not like what I saw, like what mothers
Mm-hmm.
were.
Mm-hmm.
And so being in Africa, I was like, whoa, the mothers here are so empowered and so
Mm.
powerful and so badass.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, yeah, they can like do it all. And like they have a voice and they can dance and like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they don't take shit from nobody. It's like wow. So that was like a brain like rewiring about what mothers are like supposed to
Totally.
look like. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be one of those.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, that's so cool. Wow. Wow. So then
Yeah.
like how much time between this trip in West Africa and seeing these mothers and seeing the reframing was it until you got pregnant with your first child? And was there anything else in there that you did for womb healing now that you kind of reframed this idea of the mother? Were you kind of like, okay, this is what I want to be, so this is what I can do for my womb? Or was that not something that you did?
Not, I didn't do anything like. specifically because I still had to fear that I'm not still not gonna have any children, you know. I wasn't
Mm,
like I'm gonna make a baby.
mhm,
I was not like that.
mhm,
Um, but just like a gentle, like gently working towards that without even realizing it now.
mhm,
But I was kind of like just living it without plan.
mhm.
So I went for a few diet changes. Yeah, diet changes. Like I was on doing like a probiotic cleanse and like
Mm.
being vegan for a little bit, like cleansing and but it was mostly music.
Okay, yeah.
Like I was really diving into music and that was about it really. And slowed down my
Mm,
life and
mm,
cut off some cords with some like negative people and
mm.
being in that path.
Yeah, and that's all
Yeah.
powerful work. Like it's more powerful than we
Yeah.
think. Really, like you're saying, slowing down, cutting the cords with people, changing your diet and doing the cleansing and the like frequency
Mhm.
medicine, which you were getting from the music, is
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
so strong and so powerful and so healing. So I love hearing that all of the
Yeah.
things you did were just very like innate and natural to our human
Yeah.
physiology.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Exactly.
mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
So then what was it like this coming into this first pregnancy journey for you? Like, was it with your partner, like, yeah, what was that like? Was it kind of something because you're saying you still kind of thought like pregnancy wasn't a possibility for you? So did it just come in as a big surprise? Like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. Like, where did this come from?
So okay, I need to rewind a little
Okay.
bit. So I got pregnant in 2019.
Hmm.
Yeah, with my ex-partner actually.
Okay.
And I was super shocked. Like, huh? What's happening? What's going on? And I was only like 11 weeks into the journey, and it was very depressing. It was, wow, it didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't feel good in my body. Um, yeah, and my partner was like, kind of like shutting that out. Like, he did not want to face it, you know, and every time I wanted to speak about it, he would just like this. He was not supporting me at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was speaking also about like home birth, you know, because I always wanted to have a home birth, a free birth actually, and he completely shut me off. So like
Mm-hmm.
energetically, I was just feeling like, like what's happening? Like my life is not going like the right way. And 11 weeks later, I had a miscarriage. It was really painful. I remember I was in the toilet, like just in so much pain and like bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and so he called the taxi and then we went to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And that experience in the hospital was, I mean, I'm not the kind of person like who goes to the hospital for any, you know, something like some health issues I have. I never go there. So that
Mm-hmm.
was the first time I stepped foot into a hospital.
Okay.
And yeah, the experience was just really, wow, I don't even have a word. It was very traumatic.
Mm.
So they found out that I have a miscarriage and like they didn't provide me solutions. They just said like the only thing to do is to like manually extract.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
had no idea. I was in so much pain and my partner was like, yeah, get it out, you know, and so it was very traumatic. They used like this metal clasp or clasp, yeah,
Mm.
to manually extract the placenta and
Okay.
everything that's in there.
Yeah.
And oh, yeah, it was painful and just horrible. Like just this man, you know, just thinking about like this man in a bright white.
Mm.
lights,
Mm.
room with like two other women, and then my partner wasn't even there. And
Oh,
yeah, it was that happened.
wow.
And then just dispose off the contents of my room into the trash in the bag
Oh
like
gosh.
this.
Oh.
Yeah, and I had no idea. I wasn't like I didn't know what to do. I just had no clue. Or yeah, because remember, I had no idea anything about motherhood or pregnancy or birth. I wasn't in that realm. I was just like, oh. And then
Mm-hmm.
next thing I know, I'm pregnant, and the next thing I know, I have a miscarriage, and I don't know what's happening. Completely
Wow.
clueless. Yeah, so that happened, and it took me so long to just integrate that and feel so much guilt, and that I didn't have like the process wasn't as smooth as it could be, you know. Like
Mm-hmm.
now, after I studied and I read so much about it and learned from other women, it's like I could have done it in such a different way,
Mm-hmm.
in a much more gentle way, and do ceremony, and just wait it out, and a few other stuff. So yeah, so that was my first experience
Wow.
with pregnancy.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, and like you said, you didn't know that you could have done it another way. And that's just what most women do is just kind of default and go to the hospital because
Yeah.
it's a lot of blood, they're in a lot of pain, and then they just aren't treated in a way of reverence when, this really big moment is happening in their life. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it felt so wrong. Like,
Mm,
like looking back, oh my goodness.
mm-hmm,
Oh, but I feel sorry, like for past Fina, but that's how it was.
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what empowered me to journey like differently. So,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happened after that? I, s- I started to get staph infection.
Okay. Yeah.
This is something that I got from the hospital. Yeah,
Oh gosh.
I got this from the hospital from like all of the just everything. It was just like so traumatic that I got stabbed like
Mm,
everywhere around my legs, around my private parts. Like this
mm,
happened for months after that. I had to heal from that as well. So it was just like yeah, it was really intense. Like 1 year to heal all of that and the
mm-hmm,
trauma and the staph infection and then I also cut the cord with my ex-partner.
mm,
Um, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, That's a journey in and of itself, having to like heal from having the staph infection too. And it's just like another reason, like, don't go to the hospital because if you go in with something, you might come out with something even worse, or something that you have to heal from, which is insane. But wow. Wow. So then how long was the time difference then from this first early release until you had a full-term pregnancy?
Um, 2 years later.
2 years later.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And with this pregnancy, um, was it completely out of the system? Were you just like right off the bat, I'm gonna take care of myself. I'm gonna do what I need to do to feel comfortable in my body and just because you said like hospitals weren't a thing for you. So I'm assuming you obviously didn't do OB care, but did the
Mhm.
idea cross your mind of maybe hiring a medical midwife or just not even
Mhm.
at all?
Okay, so it was 20 years, 20, yeah, so 2020, I met my partner and I knew it was him.
Mm,
Like, you're gonna make me some babies.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, when you meet somebody and you kind of like have a feeling. So it was like
Mm.
that. I
Mhm.
knew like we had dreams where we have a child together,
Mhm.
and um, I think it was only 8 months after we got together we conceived our firstborn
Mm.
during the pandemic, and it was scary for me because of the experience before, but I was like very hopeful as well because the kind of person he is. He's like completely out of the system.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, he's like me, like really wild, just like yeah. And it was mostly out of the system. Like we didn't go to any OB, none of that because we were living on an island there where there's no um, what's the like what's the word for this obstetric system
Obstetrician.
or
Yeah.
yeah, or gynecologist. There's none of that on the island, so
Okay.
you need to go to the next island to check. So mostly out, but we did check like 2 times just to just have to have a look, and it was good.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was just full trust, like everything's gonna be okay. And I was feeling really good in my body, like
Mm.
so good. I felt so healthy. Yeah, really supported. Like being on the island is before I was living in the mountains. So this
Mhm.
time I moved to the island, and it's like, oh, this is like my land.
Mhm.
um, Drinking and eating all the foods of my ancestors. So I felt really nourished and yeah, just really well taken care of. So
Mm.
yeah, it was a beautiful pregnancy.
Mm.
So and then we reached like towards the end, and I started to meet other mamas on the island. So what are you gonna do with your birth? They start to ask because for the first maybe like 30 weeks, I was like, I don't want to hear anything from anybody
Mhm.
because I could feel myself being starting to question myself. When people question you because you're so sensitive when you're
Mhm.
pregnant, and you really like take everybody's opinion or whatever. You really take it into your energy,
Mhm.
and it changes you, and you start to get influenced. So I did not want to meet anybody until they start coming into my life.
Mhm.
And yeah, like, because there was only one midwife in this area. There's only one
Okay.
midwife there. And then there's the hospital, like maybe two hospital, or
Yeah.
yeah, at the time there were two hospitals on the next island where you could deliver.
Okay.
It's super limited.
Wow.
And one midwife who does home birth, so she takes the boat and goes to your island and then
Mhm.
stay with you for some hours and then go back.
Mhm.
Um, but we met her just to have a look, just to check it out. We also checked out the hospital just to have a look,
Mhm.
knowing that we're not going to go there.
Yeah.
Um, and we did not vibe with the midwife. We did not vibe with the hospital. None of that. Um, in my instinct, I know like I want to do it at home alone, just
Mhm.
with my partner and a couple of sisters. But towards the end, I think it was at 37 weeks, I started to ask my partner like, do you think we need somebody there?
Mm.
I started to fear that the fear took over. Like, do you think we need to have somebody at the space, like someone with medical knowledge? And he said, well, I don't really know. It's like, oh, you should not have said that. You should be like, yeah, well, you got it.
Mhm.
But he was like, I don't know. Maybe we need somebody. Um, and that's when I started. I went
Okay.
looking for somebody.
Okay. Yeah.
I went searching. I asked like all the other. all the doulas on the island, do you know somebody who, like a midwife or someone who has some medical experience? And
Mm,
then I found somebody, yeah.
mm,
Uh, she introduced herself as a holistic doctor
okay.
who who works in this area. Like she used to deliver babies in Turkey, and yeah, we met her, and she's really cool. You know, like she has a vibe. Like she
Mm-hmm.
likes music, she meditates, and she goes to ecstatic dances. I'm like, okay, she's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so we decided, okay, we're gonna have her in the space. Um, yeah, with some rules, like some boundaries.
Yeah.
And so we set up already a birth team, and I was like, yeah, I'm in love with my birth team. Like, I'm so excited. I was having like two sisters join me. One was like a doula trainee, and one was
Okay.
just like one my soul sister
Mm-hmm.
to help me take care of the space and yeah, the flow of energy, and then it was just waiting for the
Mm-hmm.
moment,
Mm-hmm.
and then I need a little break. Wow, so interesting to share my story. It's like in this way.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good. Hmm. All right. And then the birth. So the birth. I the way I'm telling my story, is it too long or should I shorten it?
No, no, no. This is perfect. Yeah. Just yeah. I've got all
Okay.
the time.
Like
So have a
detail or
yeah, yeah, do the
okay.
detail. I'm happy to sit and listen to all of it, so you don't need to shorten it.
Okay, so my water leaked in the morning, and then yeah, I knew like okay, something's happening here. It was like exactly on like uh 40 was it 40 weeks. Was it 40 weeks? Yeah, 40 weeks, and then my water was leaking, and
Sorry,
the journey
Fina,
was going for about yeah,
could you just come a little closer to your microphone?
like that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, because there's just a bit of noise in the background that was kind of muffling your voice.
Yeah. Mm. So it was a 27-hour journey.
Okay.
Or is it
I can hear it,
distracting?
but no, it's okay. I can hear your voice a bit better.
Yeah, it's cutting the grass.
That's okay.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah. Um, so it was on the 20th of March,
Mm,
2022, and my water leaked, and then we immediately like texted our birth team, like this is happening, but come later. Um, and it was really slow, like the whole journey was very slow. It was 27 hours. Yeah, 27 hours journey. Like when my two sisters were there, it was so beautiful. It was just so harmonious, you know. I was in a lot of pain. Um, yeah, I just could not speak at all. I remember like just being in trance. I could not speak a word the whole entire journey.
mm,
But it was fine because like I had my partner there and my two sisters there, and they just knew exactly what I wanted. Giving me water, giving me food, and just massaging me. It was so beautiful. Um, but my medical support, but the doctor, she came as well, and she was alright, but she was kind of like in my space.
mm,
Yeah, like I specifically told her that not to do any of these things, but she was still doing it. But because I was already in like birth, in the portal, and I had my voice, I lost my voice.
Mm.
I just let her. So that was how it was flowing. So
Mm.
she kept doing what she wanted to do, like the hospital things that the doctor. Because I didn't know that she's still a doctor, she will bring whatever knowledge she has about this to my
Mm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
That was where I was mistaken. So it was a beautiful journey, and then after 24 hours, my son was crowning, and and yeah, I pushed him out, and I was in the water. I pushed him out, and then my doctor was like putting fear on me. That was the first like moment I'm like, what are you doing?
Mm.
She put fear on me. She's like, it's already 10 minutes. You need to push. Like, she's putting fear on me, and I got scared. I'm like, okay, so I really like waited for the next contraction. I really like pushed my like all my force, and and then I met my son, and he was beautiful. But that, like that itself, like when she asked me to push, because I specifically wrote in my birth test, nobody told me to push.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody told me to push. Like, yeah. Um, and I was just so shocked because like this is such a beautiful moment. Like my baby's head was crowning me, and she put fear on me instead of being like, like, stay quiet. Just see how beautiful that is.
Mm-hmm.
She went in.
Mm.
It just like made me kind of like put me out of my flow,
Yeah, totally.
and that's when everything starts to go wrong.
Okay.
From that moment on, I knew it. Um, and then I met my son, and it was nice. Everything was really nice to be with him. It was so beautiful. And my placenta did not release immediately. Yeah. And I also read about the placenta before. Like it's okay. Like there's some things that you need to do. You need to have space after you meet your baby. It's just a moment some space and then all these things. But she was like in my space.
Mm.
She wanted to check many things. Again, I was not. I didn't have a voice. I still like did not know what's happening, and I think like, okay, she took over this space, so I just let her take over this
Mm.
space. Also, my husband was the same. He's just like he felt small in that space,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, and she kept putting more fear, like, oh, Fina, it's already 1 hour. Your placenta is still not coming out, and she needed to check me and do all of those things the doctor does, and then it went to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew inside like she was the problem. So when we reached 3 hours, she was saying to me, Tina, I need to manually extract. And she was like pushing my womb, like pushing so hard. It was so painful, like pushing, pushing, pushing. I need to do these things, because this is dangerous. Like, wow. And I started screaming, and I'm like, what the hell? I don't get you here. Like,
Nice.
but she did not leave. Like, wow, I'm so pissed. Like, just thinking about it, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
she was still there, and she's still like, because it's her job, it's my job to make sure the placenta leaves, and then I can reach it safe. Um, so in the end, she manually extracted it, like after the 3 hours. Oh, and then she checked the placenta, and she said, oh, there's still some bits missing, and she went back inside my room to grab it. I was in so much pain.
Oh my
It was more
goodness.
painful than giving birth to my son. I felt, oh, yeah, like just that experience. just like brought me back to being in the hospital, you
Mm.
know? I was like, hey, how could you come back to this? Like, it took me so long to heal from that, to come back here again. It was like, same thing. I'm like, yeah. So that was my journey into motherhood. It was beautiful. Like, I had a beautiful birth, but like,
Mhm.
I hated that I let another woman do that to me, like this. And like we
Mhm.
have a boyfriend. I could not even I was living the moment. Like, could I have just speak off? But I couldn't. I was so deep in my portal. I was just like so focused into birthing,
Mhm.
and I fully surrender into my space because I trusted these women. But yeah,
Yeah. Oh my goodness,
yeah, I was.
that sounds horrible. And just, basically her coming in under these, oh, I'm a holistic midwife, and I'll listen
Exactly.
to the boundaries that you set. And then you just saying she came in and just totally threw them out the window. And that's awful, like such a
Yeah,
betrayal. And it happens so often.
exactly.
And it's just, it breaks my heart to hear stories of that, where like you're in your portal and you're just so in the rhythm of birthing, and then you can't speak up for yourself because you're not even fully in your body in this realm, because you're somewhere else, and then somebody has
Yeah,
come into your space that you trusted and is doing all of these awful things to you. It's just, oh, I'm so sorry that that was, the ending
yeah,
of that whole birth portal that you went through. That's just so heartbreaking to hear.
yeah. Yeah, it
Mm.
took me so long to process that. I mean, I am still processing it, but
Mhm.
yeah, with my next birth, it was like, poof, I healed from that. But still, like, just to
Mhm.
hear that so many women are still going through that, and that this doctor, she did not know how wrong that is. I was
Mhm.
like crossing the boundaries, and I already told her to leave, and she still stayed and
Mhm.
still pushed her ideas. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's not okay. That's really not okay.
So yeah, my journey into motherhood was a bit rocky. I mean, even though it was so beautiful, like the whole journey was so beautiful. Oh,
Mhm.
I still could not stop thinking about that moment.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a shaky start to motherhood, and I was actually depressed in those first months. I mean, probably my first year of postpartum.
Mhm.
Um, so I got pregnant when I was 5 months postpartum.
Oh, wow. So very quick.
So,
Very
so I
quick.
was kind of still healing from the whole experience.
Mhm.
Ah, yeah, so something about the how I was recovering is also from that birth. It was a very slow recovery. I tore. I had to get stitches.
Okay.
Um, I believe it's from when she went in. Yeah,
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
very sure about that. And I was hemorrhaging really badly. So I think it took me like 5 weeks to heal, like to be able to stand and walk and to sit without having pains.
Mm.
It was horrible. Yeah, so it really affected my first the postpartum bubble that I could
Mhm.
not really yeah enjoy
Mhm.
fully.
Wow. And how was your breastfeeding journey in that?
Breastfeeding was good. Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't have any problem. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Everything was good. Down there.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, so the next
Mhm.
part of the story. Need a few deep breaths before.
Yeah, take your time. Take all
Yeah.
the time you need.
All right. So something I want to also uh, add, like I knew about free birthing
Mhm.
um, earlier on, like when I was traveling. So I was traveling the world. I used to go to rainbow gatherings.
Okay.
Um, yeah, rainbow gatherings in Europe. So basically, like a month long gathering of travelers, hippie people living outside of the system. So I used to hop on like gathering, and we went to one in Italy. Um, and up in the Alps, it was like far up in the Alps. It took like 3 days to hike up.
Oh, wow.
And so when we were there, yeah, it was a really powerful one. So there were three pregnant mothers up there, and there was a lot of mothers and a small baby. But there were three pregnant mothers, and they gave birth in the river, in
Wow.
the river, up in the mountain. Actually, one in the river up there, and then one down in the parking lot. She didn't manage to climb up, and then the other one, I'm not so sure.
Okay.
I didn't hear the full story, but like I was like, huh? That's when I was like, wait, is that possible?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I learned about free birthing.
Okay.
Yeah, she was just there with her sisters and birthing in the river up in the mountain.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That would be
It
so
was so
beautiful. In the Alps and the river. Oh, wow.
just like community, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was so shocked. I was like, I had no idea, but like deep in my womb, I kind of like knew, oh yeah, like that's what we're supposed to do. That's what I'm gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So,
Wow.
and then fast forward to, I knew about free birthing. I actually did not know about the community online. I had no idea about these things until, um, yeah, until my twin pregnancy. That's when I started studying.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I got pregnant again when I was 5 months postpartum, and I wasn't really prepared. I wasn't really ready. I was scared shit. Uh, and then when I was 2 months pregnant, we found out we were having twins. I went straight into depression.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, because when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a food just this time. Um, and then I found out that I was having twins, and my world just crashed. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is not gonna be good for me. It's not gonna, yeah, it's gonna go downhill. I
Mm-hmm.
really believe that because of just what we've been conditioned now, like
Mm-hmm.
twin pregnancies. I was so depressed. Like just my entire first year of motherhood was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having problems also with my health. Like the first time, like after I started to heal, I started to have problems again. I started fainting. I was throwing up. I yeah, I couldn't breathe. Just all of the things came up, and I was scared because I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. We were still living on the island, without any community. And all of my sisters, my friends, they left the island. It's such a transient place. People come and go.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it so happens that none of my friends were there.
Okay.
And I was really scared. I didn't know what to do. Um, I decided to go back home to my mom's house, back there in Boarding Island.
Okay.
So I went back and I was 20 weeks. I was already so big. I was like, I had to be on the wheelchair or on the crutches sometimes because I had what's it, pelvic I forgot the name. Oh,
Is it the pelvic
pelvic
symphysis pain?
girdle.
Pelvic girdle
Yes,
pain.
pubic
Yeah.
symphysis. That's the
Mm.
one. Yeah, I in my first pregnancy, I got that like after 30 weeks or so. But in this pregnancy, when I was 13 weeks, I started having pain.
Wow.
Oh no, this is not looking good. It
Mm.
wasn't starting off good. It's scary.
Mm.
And my partner was in shock, like not like voicing it out. And he was just like went into shock mode, like I need to
Mm.
go to work, I need to do stuff. Yeah, it was really rough for us, super rough.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, I need support like 24/7. I need my mom this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back home with my son. So we went back and my husband stayed to do some work. And it's so good. It was really good because I started to eat like the food that I needed. I transitioned from like vegetarianism to like eating meat again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only eating like maybe once a week, like eating chicken and a little bit of seafood. So with this pregnancy, I need like this craving for like real meat, like red meat,
Yeah.
but I had no idea how to prepare that. I didn't really trust to eat that like on the island, cooked by somebody else. So yeah, that was also one of the reasons why I went back. Like, I needed my mom's meat. I needed my
Mm-hmm.
mom to cook for me.
Yeah. Your mom's home cooking.
Um, but I just cannot stop thinking about my mom's food. And also, I kind of like promised myself, like from my last like postpartum journey, I'm like, okay, I like my mom is missing. Like, I need her. Actually, I really need her
Mm-hmm.
in like my space. So yeah, I was like, no questions. I'm gonna go back. Mm. So I went back with my son and just went into deep into like the underworld, let's say, just the pregnancy, like twin pregnancy, and just went to search, like just trying to get all the information I could, but there was none.
Mm.
Like the first thing you see when you search on Google, like twin pregnancy or twin birth, it goes straight to like high risk pregnancy or
Mm-hmm.
cesarean,
Yeah.
like okay, avoid Google. And and then I discovered Free Birth Society, and then I listened to their podcast. I was like specifically looking for like twin home birth, like twin birth.
Yeah.
There was very few, like maybe five or so, very little.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found the Instagram page Twin Home Birth. That was also wow, such a
Okay.
savior for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just those. Like I just kept listening to some free birth story and
Mm.
like quick like just hop on the Instagram to see if they post some new things. But
Mm-hmm.
that was the only thing I got to inspire me. Like okay, it's possible, right?
Yeah.
But still, I'm not so sure. And I still had a lot of trauma and fear from
Mm.
my last birth, like more about the placenta and also the positioning of the baby. Like, okay, what if it's breech?
Mm-hmm.
And also with twin pregnancies, like one will be breech, like it's guaranteed to be breech. So that scared me, and it really put me on that path to like just study as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's happened. So I connected with a couple of twin mama who free birth their babies, and they gave me
Okay.
all of the resources. Like
Mm-hmm.
they inspired me. They just shared everything with me,
Mm-hmm.
and anytime I have questions or yeah, things like that, they would just share
Mm.
their wisdom. So helpful. Um, that was pretty much what I did. I shut off myself from the whole world. Like I did not contact none of my friends, nobody. I was just
Mm-hmm.
like I shut off because I wasn't feeling good. Like to
Yeah.
speak with people who have things to say. Like
Yeah.
even going out in public, people see me like, oh gosh, you're so big. Like I
Mm-hmm.
did not want any of that. I
Yeah.
just wanted to like, yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah, to be asked like, oh, what's your plan? And yeah, so I did not tell anybody about my birth plan, or um. So when I was also 22 weeks, I think, or 23, I don't really remember. I had a pregnancy scare, so I released blood clots,
Okay.
like huge, like this big, like four pieces just fell out, and I'm like,
Mm.
wow, this is scary. And like I said, I was so scared about the placenta, like I just freaked out about this. So it was like in the middle of the night, like 11 p.m. And then I told my mom, "Mom, I got this. Like, you know what that is?" I was like, "Oh yeah, no." I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, okay, I'm fine. I can walk. I'm
Mm.
good." Like, God, like go to the hospital. And she freaked me out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I knew, like, okay, my mom, she is so scared about these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the hospital with my brother. He took me there. My son went to sleep with my mom. First time like I was separated from him, and I went to the hospital. They I had no idea what it was, but like the first thing they said, "Okay, you're staying here." No, I'm going back home. No, no,
Mm-hmm.
you're staying here. It's like
Mm.
a prison, like because I checked myself in, I cannot leave until they release the diagnosis or something. I'm like,
Right.
it was like that. Wow, I was so shocked. I could not leave.
Mm.
You need to stay here, and you can only go if we tell you it's fine. I'm
Mm.
like, when are you gonna release the statement? She said in 24 hours or 48 hours. I'm like,
Oh my
okay,
gosh.
but it was Saturday, so it's not gonna be the next day. It's gonna be on Monday.
Mm.
I need to stay here 2 nights. Oh wow! So I obeyed, um, and got to experience the the 5-star
Mm.
hospital stay. Um, it was strange to be there. I was like in this room with bright lights, and like had curtains next to me with somebody else staying there, and then another pregnant mama there, and there, like 3 other mamas, and
Mm.
just got to kind of experience the hospital like side of things. Um, and I knew like, okay, I'm not gonna give birth here. Like
Yeah.
it's just not my son, not my dad. They don't know anything. Like just speaking with the doctor, it's like anything that comes out of their mouth is like fear based or like textbook. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no heart, there's no empathy. It was like the first like she meets me and they're like, "Oh, you're a twin pregnancy. Okay, this is a high risk," just like flat out like this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. Hi. My
Mm-hmm.
name is Fina. I'm very healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, just judging me based off my pregnancy, like, twin pregnancy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you're going in this road. And then I was asking about some of the blood tests they were doing. Like, okay, so what did you receive? Can I see what percentage it is? And blah, blah, blah. I know more of it than them. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, they cannot help me. I can help myself, but they cannot help me actually. So I had to go through like the whole 48 hours staying there
Oh.
and demand to be released actually. Like I need to be released. I have my son, and then they let me go. And from then on, after I left, I'm like, okay, I'm not going back there. I'm already in the system. I still need to go for checkups like every 2 weeks or so. And I was trying to figure out how to get out of that. I also needed to do that for certificate and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so the next month I kind of still went, but like with my own ideas.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna get it, but like I can play the game and we play a game. So I kept asking them questions every time I went. Like yeah, just questions like that I know about like twin birth and twin pregnancy, but like they were not really sure. They're just making things up and just trying to put more fear into me. It was like I see it as a game.
Mm-hmm.
And, and around 32 weeks, that's when I like left. I said like, okay, I'm not gonna be in the country. I'm gonna go now. And so they can stop calling me.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like cleansing off of that, like just this hospital vibe, the fear that they were putting in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and I was to like fully trust myself. Okay, like I am gonna do this at home.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how. I don't know how I'm gonna tell my mom. I don't know how I'm gonna tell my partner,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna do it at home. Yeah, and that's when yeah, that's when I started studying and coming up with a plan. Really.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Wow, it's like it's a lot like mentally, just to carry all those fears, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because so sensitive. Like every time I meet somebody and I'm
Mm-hmm.
done pregnant with twin, I could feel them like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
all their thoughts, all their, yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was a lot to like just cleanse that and just remove, like decondition myself,
Mm-hmm. I bet.
which is not easy. Already with like one child, it's it was hard. But like
Mm-hmm.
with twins, it's like you really need to fucking trust yourself first.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why it's necessary to cut off everybody at that time also. It's like one single person, especially somebody close to me, will instill fear, and then I would just like, all right, like, okay, I'm scared. Let's do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, when I told my partner, I didn't tell him until later on.
Okay.
So he came to Brunei to my mom's house to live with us for the birth and postpartum. And he never asked me like what's my plan now. I just said, okay, there's the hospital option and
Mm-hmm.
then there's the home birth option.
Mm-hmm.
And also with the home birth, I would have actually loved to be supported by a doula or a midwife, like any kind of midwife, you know, I would have loved that for this twin birth.
Mm-hmm.
But Brunei, like my country, they have zero doula, no doula in the whole country, and
Wow.
all the midwives work in the hospital.
Okay.
So I could not find anybody to support me. So like that's why it's so radical. Like I didn't 100% choose that. I just had to.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the only option. It was
Right.
either that hospital thing or like it's
Or
so
do it
radical.
by
Let's just say
yourself.
it that way.
Yeah, which is really sad to
Yeah,
hear
and then
that those
I
were your
ended up.
only options. Like it was either a hospital birth where because you were having twins, your babies would have most likely been cut out of your body, or the option of kind of just doing it completely alone with just your partner or your mom or somebody, and not having that middle ground of
Yeah,
there could have been a wise woman that could sit with you or
yeah,
something like that for your extra support.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Mm.
So, so yeah, and when I told my partner, yeah, I just told him like that's what I'm gonna do. I do not trust the hospital. It was traumatic. I
Mhm.
have all of my past experiences with doctors are traumatic, you know, and it took me years to heal from that, and it has
Mhm.
affected our like marriage
Mhm.
in like the biggest way.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I do not want that anymore. And he this time he really trusted me, and so like we had better communication, and so yeah, I asked him like, what do you need to feel like more confident? Because I need you to feel like confident in this space because you're the only person there. And so he said that he wants to study more or like to know more. And so that's when I had a call with the midwife from the States, and it was like a home birth emergency class. Yeah, it was so good. I'm so glad we did that.
Mhm.
We were talking about breech birth, and the placenta, and neonatal resuscitation, like all of the things that could have,
Mhm.
gone wrong or like needed more hands-on,
Mhm.
and what does like like real emergency looks like in
Mhm.
the home birth situation.
Mhm.
So, wow, it was so good. We both felt so empowered and really ready from that class. And then around 39 weeks, my I'm just wondering if there's anything that happened before my birth. Nothing really. Okay.
Mhm.
This is one part that I didn't mention in my birth story that I shared on on Instagram.
Mhm.
So my mom, we live in my mom's house.
Mhm.
The whole time I was like, how am I gonna tell my mom?
Mhm.
Like who else am I gonna tell? Like so my brother Freddie, he lives in Turkey, but he came to visit us
Okay.
just to see me before I
Mhm.
delivered. I told him, and he was like, as long as you feel confident, like okay, don't say anything else. Um, like that's when I already like I was like 100% super in my power. Like okay, nothing's gonna like shake me now. Like I can do this. Fully
Mhm.
trust myself. But with my mom, like I was waiting for this moment when when I know I cannot be shaped, right? She cannot like shake
Mhm.
my decision.
Mhm.
It was so hard. Like I could not. I tried to find so many moments. I just could not. Like I know she's gonna try to change my decision, or she's gonna bring the whole. This is my house.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, and in those last weeks, my partner and I, we were like, oh, what if she kick us out of the house? Like, do we need to go across the border through Malaysia and all of these other options? Like, can we go back to Thailand or something? And
Mhm.
I couldn't. I was so pregnant. I'm like, I need to deal with this. Like, so I decided not to tell my mom.
Mhm.
My mom had no idea. Like, I kind of felt like she knows what was happening, but we have this relationship where we don't speak. It's the
Okay.
typical Asian like way of like you don't say nothing, but she
Mhm.
knows.
Mhm.
And so,
Wow.
oh, it's so funny. So my water leaked at 39 weeks and one day, and it was like it was blood actually on the mattress. I'm like, oh my god, what's happening? It was
Mhm.
just blood, and it was 5:30 in the morning, and as I kind of felt it, I'm like, okay, this weird feeling, but I'm just gonna sleep anyway. It could be 27 hours.
Mhm.
Um, I just kind of like play it down, like, oh, it's okay, no worry about it,
Mhm.
because I had 2 weeks of contractions already. It's like, it could be
Okay.
tomorrow, it could be next week.
Mhm.
And so, and then the sunlight started to shine through the room, and I could see that it's actually blood. I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then the first contraction hit me, like a real contraction, and I'm like, oh, it's so painful, and I knew that
Mhm.
was like today was the day.
Mhm.
So we went to our birth room, and I wanted to bring my son in. You know, I had this big vision of like having a family birth.
Mm.
So I went to the room and just try be in my own space. And so my husband came with my son, and he was bringing like such a energy that I don't need. And I'm like, okay, take him down, please. Like he was crying and in the right space, and he could feel the intensity.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm like, okay, I cannot give give him to my mom and so. And I said to Miki, like, don't tell her. Okay, don't tell her I'm not ready.
Mhm.
So that was the plan. I'm just gonna see how it flows. Like if I
Okay.
felt to tell her and bring this speech, then I'll tell her. But I did not feel like really else. Um, actions and being on all fours on the mattress and being on the ball and just chanting and making all kinds of sounds
Mhm.
and mostly by myself in the room. And And then my partner came like around 8, and he's like, okay, so Jata, my firstborn, he's with his grandma, and they're fine, so he can be with me. I'm like, okay, so he put some songs. I think he put some like a
Mhm.
birth playlist that we had the last year for our
Mhm.
firstborn. I'm like,
Mhm.
shut that off.
Yeah.
None of that, none of the mantras. I cannot have this. I need silence. Um, And it was happening so fast. Like I was so in the portal. Like wow,
Mhm.
it was super intense. The contractions were deep,
Mhm.
intense. Just and I was just surrendering to it and just like it's so beautiful. Like
Mhm.
just allowing my body to move however it wanted to move.
Yeah.
And after about I think 2 hours of just flowing in contractions, I wanted to go into the pool. And so he prepared the pool. It took like 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Um, and then as soon as it was just like halfway, I'm like, I need to get inside. So I went inside, and only like 5, 10 minutes after that, like just the warm water like hitting my body was like,
Mhm.
like I need like it was just getting really intense and
Mhm.
um yeah, like I did not realize like what was really happening. Just being in the intensity of that, and just nobody was telling me there what to do
Yeah.
or what's happening down there or where I'm at, what stage I'm at. No idea. I just was doing my own thing. And then next thing I know, I was telling my partner, he was there like trying to set up the camera.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, I need to make a poop.
Yeah.
Or I need to make a poop. He's like, okay, I got it. I got you. Like, let me catch. So sweet. And and then I made a push, and the feet came out.
Oh
The feet
wow.
came out as well as and a little bit of poop as well came out, but like the
Yeah.
feet came out. He's like, oh, there's the feet. I could not really hear him. I was like, oh, what's happening? Like, did
Mhm.
I what? And yeah, and then the feet came out, and like I don't know how many contractions I did the whole entire time for him. But I was on all fours in the water,
Mhm.
and I think it was like 10 minutes until like all his shoulders were out, and just his head.
Okay.
And it took a bit of time, and I was already exhausted. And that's when we know like he was kind of like turning now, like that's what we studied, like his body was turning on
Mhm.
his own. And and then my partner did the oh, it's already 15 minutes left. Like,
Oh.
don't you dare.
Yeah.
It kind of like scared me. Like,
Mhm.
it's already 15 minutes. I'm like, Oh, you pissed me off. Okay, let me stand up. So I stood up. I need to like activate it. I really need to move the energy. So I stood up against the wall, hold the wall, and just like breathe, wait for the next contraction. And when it came, I really pushed with all my force,
Mm.
and he came out, and my husband caught him. I fell back down on the floor. He passed into me. It was very, very red, like extremely red. And yeah, but he was bleeding. He was good.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Wow.
Wow, it was super beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, he had trouble breathing a little bit because he was in there for quite some time. And he
Mhm.
had some like blood, some of the blood clots I think were like stuck somewhere and he had to just suck it out.
Okay. Yeah.
And then some minutes later, I was just still sitting in the water with my son. And from then, like the contractions felt very small compared to like the
Okay.
previous ones.
Mhm.
And I had no idea. I completely forgot that that I was another baby. And and then yeah, I felt the contraction, and I was just like flowing with that. And the next thing I know, the next twins came out. Like I could not feel anything.
Oh wow.
It just like
Came right through.
came right through. I'm like, what?
And was this
Yeah,
one
it was
head
my husband.
first?
He's like, he. I actually have no idea.
Oh,
I think so.
okay.
We cannot be so sure.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And then he came out, and and then yeah, it was only like that was 3 hours after my first contraction when I woke up. Like so
Wow.
fast.
Oh my goodness, that's
It
very
was like
fast.
boom, 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 boom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Wow.
extremely fast. So yeah, that was like around 8, almost 9 a.m. when
Mm-hmm.
both of them were already out,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt so exhausted, like really exhausted. I knew that I lost a lot of blood, and yeah, I wanted to get out of the water. I'm like, okay, I'm done here. Let's
Mm-hmm.
get out. I felt like I wanted to faint actually.
Okay.
So my partner helped me out, and I placed them on the mattress on the floor, and I just passed out like next to them. And I don't know how long I was out. Like time just stopped for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the contractions started again sometime after that. Like, and they were more painful, like extremely painful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like telling myself, like, okay, Fina, like now is the placenta time. Like, what are you gonna do about it?
Mm-hmm.
And then all I could say to myself was just relax,
Mm-hmm.
like this is my chance to like reclaim like what was lost from my first birth. And what do I
Yeah.
really want to do? Like what does my instinct tell me to do? So just relax, just have some water, just have all of the things that I prepared, and yeah, nobody was there to scare me off. My partner was coming in and out of the room. The twins were sleeping and waking
Mm-hmm.
up a little bit. They were okay. They were not really asking for the boobs yet. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need some space for this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then I actually really wanted to get the placenta out because it was starting to be really painful. But I know that I needed to rest first. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot like push anymore.
Yeah.
And so after we got around like 2 hours after the twins were born, then my partner was like, "Yeah, I think you need to start drinking and like having all of the medicine. It's time." So I forced myself to drink some teas and all the medicine that we prepared. And at 3 hours after, it was around 11:30 in the morning, uh, when the placenta just came out. I was like lying on the side next to
Mm-hmm.
the twins, and and then it just flopped out. Um, yeah,
Mm.
that was it.
Yeah. Was it one
And
placenta?
then
Did they
I
share it?
actually passed out again. Yeah, they shared. So it was one big one.
Wow.
Actually, it plopped out,
Hmm.
but like it was like still like halfway inside me, and
Okay.
then I needed to kind of like wait again. Like, it was so big, and it took some
Mm.
time to push the whole thing out. But I
Okay.
also didn't really want to push it out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um. Yeah, it was big. It was so beautiful. It wasn't the most healthiest placenta I've seen, but it was beautiful.
Okay. Okay. Wow. I love
Yeah,
that
it's beautiful.
you also carried them till 39 weeks because that's also very uncommon for twin birth. Especially if they're being born in the medical system, they usually take them out at like 36 weeks. And it just goes to show like twins can stay in the womb until almost 40 weeks if you just let them be and let them,
Yeah,
grow and just do what they need to do until they're ready.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm. And then this breastfeeding
Yeah.
journey with the twins, how was that for you? Were you like breastfeeding the twins and also breastfeeding your first son, or did you stop with him once you had these two babies? How did that whole situation work for you?
So, so my first son, he got off the breast milk when he was 8 months just because I ran out of milk.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So I was just like my milk for the twins.
Hmm.
And it was I it was so much for me.
Hmm.
Like it's easy for me to breastfeed, like they can latch really well, but like so much in the sense where I had no idea how to figure out like tandem
Okay.
breastfeeding.
Mm.
Because I thought like, okay, you have twins now, you need to start putting them both on your boobies. But I decided to do it my way and just do like one by one. Takes
Hmm.
much longer, but that's what felt comfortable for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, one baby here, okay, he's done. One baby next,
Hmm.
that way. But yeah, breastfeeding was fine. It was really good. Just my whole postpartum was great. It was
Hmm.
so great. Like I could walk on the third day. I
Wow.
did not care.
Mm.
It was such a miracle. Like just everything that I experienced the second time was
Mm.
it's just such a surprise to me. Like how is that possible? That
Yeah.
I didn't care. That like I healed much faster.
Hmm.
That like he came out like so fast that my placenta is so big and it
Hmm.
came out on its own, like it just
Yeah.
made me question so many things from my first birth because there were people watching.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And somebody that was demanding all of this energy in the space that wasn't you as well. Mm,
Yeah.
wow. And can I ask, what did you do with your babies, the twins placentas, and actually the one from your first birth? Did you do something special with them, or how did you honor those?
So with my first son, we dried it and encapsulated him. So
Okay.
I took some of the pills,
Hmm.
and then for the rest of them, we uh, planted, like they have a coconut tree on the island.
Hmm.
It's like a tradition on the islands, also in my ancestor, like to put a coconut tree
Mm.
on top of the placenta. So we did
Oh,
that as well as we distribute to the ocean because my partner is like across the seas, and just for our ancestors.
yeah.
And for the second one, for the twins, we just buried under
Okay.
the tree in my mom's
Wow.
house.
Oh, I love
Yeah, it
that.
didn't feel right to encapsulate or to consume it. Actually, also in my first birth, I consumed in the first. I think 6 hours. 6 hours after my birth, I consumed it in a smoothie, like a small, two small pieces.
Okay, yeah.
Just yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's all. But yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
second time around, it didn't feel right to do that. Also, we were in my mom's house. She has some boundaries with these things, and I need to respect that. I don't really like it's a home birth, free birth. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna not consume it or dry it, or you're not gonna see it in the kitchen.
Okay, okay, yeah, okay. Oh, I love that you buried them though. That put them back to the earth. That's always so beautiful.
Yeah,
Hmm. Wow.
yeah.
Wow, those are yeah, this last story is just it's so beautiful and it sounds like it was very healing for you from that first birth experience and even a bit more healing to you
Mhm.
from that early release as well. And I'm so glad that that is how that twin birth happened because it could have been so, so different if you chose not to birth at home or if you had brought, the wrong person into your space.
I feel exactly. I feel like in the whole entire journey of my twin pregnancy and birth, there could be so many moments where I could be like, oh, be like when I woke up and um, I was bleeding, right? And like blood, I could release huge blood clots. I could be like, okay, this is an emergency. If I was not educated, I would
Hmm.
have gone to the hospital and I would I would get a cesarean a
Hmm.
C-section because
Hmm.
the first one was like so many like opportunities where I could like say to myself, okay, yeah, I cannot do this. I'm scared,
Hmm.
not trusting myself. But yeah, I try to um, I just try to kind of like play it small the whole time. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like not make such a big deal about it. Like this is a home like a home thing, it's not like, oh my God, I'm pregnant with twins, it's such a big deal.
Hmm.
Like that's why I didn't want to tell my mom because my mom made a big deal about that first time when I told her, like, oh, I released some blood. Let's go to the
Okay.
hospital, call the ambulance. It's
Hmm.
this big dramatic thing. And I
Yeah.
wanted to like just play it small, play it cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm bleeding. Let's go to the room. Let's see. All
Hmm.
right, okay, I have a contraction. Okay, what's the next? What's next?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. And even when like my partner was like, he put a little bit of fear on me, like, oh, it's already 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, all right, let me
Hmm.
stand up.
Yeah.
Let me change it. Let's see what happens if I stand up. All right, okay,
Hmm.
yeah. So I try to see it that way, like radical trust, yeah, but like also just it's it's a normal thing. Like birth, I wanted to see birth as like something easy, something normal. Like I know it, you just need to um trust your body and like don't freeze, in such situations and like just move on.
Hmm.
What can you do next? What can you do next
Yeah.
by yourself?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful way to look at it. Birth is normal. And if you just take it
Yeah.
those little steps at a time, not necessarily thinking of the end goal, but just like, okay, like you said, just 10 minutes. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Yeah, that's the best way to go through with it. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that
Yeah, so it wasn't
story.
such a big deal for us.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Actually, we went to the hospital like 3, 4 days after the birth
Okay.
just for paperwork.
Okay.
It's such a funny story. Like,
What happened?
we went to the hospital. I mean, actually, I called them like, hey, so I give birth at home, I have twins, I give birth. Oh, no, 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 you want an ambulance? I'm like, yo, chill, man. No, no, no. Like, and then I'm like, oh, what's the process? Like, I just want to know what's the process for getting birth certificate. Like, do I need to register them? That was my initial question.
Mm-hmm.
Blah, blah, blah. That makes such a big deal. So, like, come come now. I'm like, no, I'm not going now. I'm not gonna go now. And I go on like in 2 days from now, like on the fifth day. I'm like, okay, maybe I can go on the fifth day. So we left our bubble to go to the hospital. Last thing I wanted to do, but I just didn't want to have a problem for the birth certificate.
Mhm.
And then we went there, and they made such a big deal about it. The doctor, she delivers the babies there, and she demanded to see me, like, and like she, oh wow, her energy was so like piercing. Like she didn't
Mm.
ask my name. She didn't ask like, "Are you okay? How are your babies?" Nothing. Like I don't remember, but like, where's the placenta? Where's this? Like she demanded to know all of these things. Like
Mhm.
we're fine. I gave birth at home. Like, what's
Mhm.
your job? What are you? Like who was there?
Oh my goodness.
And we brought the placenta. It was in the cooler box. Okay.
Mhm.
She's like, where's the placenta? Oh, it's in the car, in the cooler box. Do you want to see it? It's so beautiful. My husband went to. You want to see it? We brought it just in case I wanted to see it. They were like, oh, she couldn't wrap her head around that. She was so shocked, and I love every minute of that.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
just seeing like, yeah, we did that, and we're fine. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I hear that often.
And then yeah, yeah,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say I hear that often when like women go to the hospital after they've had their babies beautifully at home, and then the doctors and the nursing staff are just like, "You did what?" How like, and they're just so shocked that a woman could, birth her children gently at home without any assistance, and it just they can't register it because it's just something that they just do not it just doesn't
yeah,
comprehend in their mind.
exactly. It was hilarious. I loved it.
Mm.
So we had to go for. They were so confused about it. Like they asked us to come for so many other things. It was yeah. But anyway, what we found out was our birth was the first free birth in the whole country ever.
Really?
Yeah, like
Wow.
like a planned free birth. Like it was the first. And yeah, our story was like talked about for weeks and months after that. And what
Mm.
happened like a few weeks after that was the whole department of like all the hospitals in the country, they had a meeting
Mhm.
to create like a new way to support this if it was to happen again. And I'm like,
Wow.
wow, that's amazing. Because they
That
actually told us,
is.
like some of the nurses told us, like, yeah, we had a meeting about this, about your birth, like how we can support mothers like you. Um, because yeah, when we called the hospital, they had no clue. They had no idea what to do. Like they sent us everywhere. You go there, you go there, you go there. Like there was no
Mm.
system in place for us. So yeah, it was so beautiful to hear that they were actually needing to plan
Mhm.
something out.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's like actually so amazing that your birth, the literal birth
yeah,
of your two children, was able to change a whole system in this medicalized model so that they are able to better
yeah,
support other mothers that now who may choose to birth in this way, they'll be able to be a
yeah,
little bit better supported. I love that. That's such a beautiful like
yeah,
roundabout.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here.
Mhm.
Your stories are really, really amazing. And yeah, that's just like the perfect end to it that it could be, it's like that birthing in this way at home in your power ricocheted so much, not only for your life, but for now other women on the island that choose to birth in this way. Know they can do it because they'll hear your
Mhm.
story because you'll be that woman that birthed her twin babies at home on purpose, which is so cool. And then it will give them that, oh, well, if she can do it with two babies, then I can do it with my babies as well. Yeah, that's like the beauty of birthing in this way. It's just so strong and so powerful and
Mm,
so reclaiming of our original ways.
mm. Yeah, and I feel it's also important to share the story. Like, yeah, when I was pregnant, I wishing to hear more stories like this. So I'm happy to share
Hmm.
this or to to be there, if other mamas are wanting to
Hmm.
reach out or to, yeah. Uh, it's
Hmm.
so important. Like this rite of passage to become mothers. I had no idea. Like when I told you before, I had nothing, like no clue about motherhood, and now I'm on the other side. Like, wow, I wish I could have done so much to
Hmm.
prepare better and to just be in that, like in the loop, like
Hmm.
having mother friends or just like hearing stories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
so here I am sharing it after 1 year.
Yeah. Well, it
1 year,
takes.
I'm like, okay, like even after I birthed, like I was scared. Like I was in shock. Not
Mm.
scared. I was just in shock. Like, did I birth them at home? Like, it took me some time to process that, and people ask me, really share so much because I was still integrating the whole thing,
Hmm.
and then I'm like, okay, damn, Fina, you did that.
Yeah.
That's some powerful mama shit.
Totally. Yes, it's powerful mama shit. I love that.
Yeah,
Oh.
and like, oh man, oh, I really believe like all the mamas can do it. Like so many ways that we can downplay. Oh, what's the
Mhm.
word? Like not
Yeah.
trust ourselves, but
Yeah.
like stories like this is what needs to be out there to be like, yo, you can do it. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing. I'm so grateful that I'm able to have these stories and to hold them on this platform. Because there aren't a lot of twin birth stories or twin home birth stories, and especially free birth stories, mothers that are birthing their twins free of the system. They are out there, but they're not as common that you hear. So having this
Hmm.
and hearing this story in this way is really special because there is going to be a mother who found out she's pregnant with twins who wants to do this and is seeking
Yeah.
more stories, and you've just put yours into that pot. So that's really, really beautiful. And I'm just so grateful that you were wanting to share, and that we got connected, and that I was able to hold the space for you to do that. And you're, co-creating this movement with me. And that just makes me feel so grateful inside as well. So thank you so much, Fina.
Thank you so much for holding the space and for
Mm,
listening and just all the work that you do. It's so beautiful. I'm so
mm.
happy to be a part.
Oh, thank you. And one last thing before we do leave, if women would like to contact you and connect with you, speak about your birth, maybe it's a twin mom who just would like to have a friendship and speak to you about your journey a bit more, how can they contact you?
You can contact me, I guess, through Instagram. My handle is Fina Ahimsa, FinaAhinsa, Fina Ahimsa.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Fina. I've absolutely loved this conversation. Thank you so much, women, for listening to this latest episode of the Free Birthing in Color movement. If you want to continue supporting this movement and all that comes with it, please give a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Like the videos on YouTube and share this episode with some of your friends. As reciprocity for the work that I'm doing and the content that I'm creating, it only takes 2 minutes to show your support through a 5-star rating, a small written review, and a share. If you want to give a monetary donation to help with the back end costs of keeping everything that is happening within this movement going, you can send your donations through PayPal via the link in the show notes. And again, as reciprocity for the work that I'm doing and creating, I'm so grateful when those donations come through. I have many other avenues of work that I've created, such as Portals of Wisdom, which are educational guidebooks for women to reclaim and remember their personal bodily sovereignty. I have one-to-one activation sessions and one-to-one or group mentorship opportunities, as well as an amazing course called Cyclical Woman that is a deep dive into the natural cycles of Mother Earth and connecting into your internal rhythms in relation to where Mother Earth is at any given moment. And lastly, I want to mention again the Free Birthing in Color community. It is open for enrollment, so please, if you want to create a deeper sense of connection to myself and other women navigating the same phase of life that you're in, please, please, please come and join us and let's create something truly beautiful in there. All information can be found within the show notes below, or you can go to primalwomanportal.com and you'll find everything that you need. I'll see you in the next episode.